Hello there everybody, this is Graham, also known as the Collector 75. Welcome to another Transformers Combiner Wars review. This is one set that I've been eagerly waiting for, probably ever since they sort of like announced that they were doing all the Combiner sort of figures from Generation 1. Because the Combaticons obviously are one of my favourite combining groups. Even though I never had them when I was a kid, I did have to wait until their first sort of reissues that came along about 1990, 1991 in the original sort of like, I think they called it sort of like classics. Yeah, so I had to wait until that line before I got the Combaticons, and that was when I really realised just what a fantastic actually merge group that they were. So anyway, so I usually try and buy every different kind of group of them that comes out. I think I even bought the Dodgy War, was it the Fall for Cybertron ones? They were really bad. Unfortunate really. I really tried to like them, but they are really sort of bad. You can get those upgrade kits for them, luckily, which does help them. But yes, but then when they were doing this one, I thought, well, I was actually thinking of passing on this. But I couldn't in the end, because they're Combaticons, and I love the Combaticons. Right, I'm not going to actually show the transformations into robot mode and into Bruticus. I'm just sort of going to gloss over that, mainly because there's probably 1,000 reviews where you can probably better than me, which will show you how to transform. Because yeah, when I transform them, there's usually a lot of effing and blinding usually, and frustration all round. And yeah, sometimes I don't mind it, but when the videos end up living like 30 minutes, I can't really be bothered to do that, so I won't show them. At least then it will cut down on time. Anyway, right, so we're going to start here with Vortex. Now this is obviously a straight up reuse of the mould of Blades and Alpha Bravo, I think his name was. And to be honest, I actually prefer this guy in these colours. I don't really like putting that Combiner Wars thing underneath him there, so I'm just going to put that to the side. The gun on the side I can just about handle. Now, it doesn't look too bad. I've always had a problem with this helicopter. I'm not too keen on the actual helicopter, to be honest. It doesn't seem one that just sort of I could easily play with if I was a child. It looks like it's one of those sort of like super fast sort of helicopters. I'm not really into them. But other than that, he's alright. He's not a bad mould. You know, he has a few issues in robot mode, mainly with the legs, but I'll get onto that. Yeah, you know, he's okay. Yeah. Was I going to say something else? Yeah, obviously Takara are remoulding. I think these are the rotor blades to give him 4 rotor blades for their Unite Warriors version. Yeah, a bit annoying. But there we go. Kind of wish I'd probably waited, but I wanted these guys. Anyway, right, we move on to the next one. This is Blast Off. Again, this is a reuse of the mould for Slingshot and Fireflight. I do like it in these colours, I really do. This just flops about for some reason. I don't know why it doesn't stay in place too well. Again, like the jet mode. Is that bit not placed in right? It looks a bit out of place slightly. Yep, there we go. Yeah, I do like the jet mode, but I know the Takara one is going to have a whole remoulded front, probably the wings and maybe the back to make it look like a shuttle. Yeah, again, probably wish I'd wait for the Unite Warriors. Knowing me, because I like collecting all these sort of Combaticons, usually when I can afford and can be bothered to get them, I'll probably end up getting that set as well. I'm not too keen on putting again, those Combiner Wars, or even the guns under in there, because I think that looks a bit dodgy. Not really amount of sales to put them, but do like that plane mode. Again, I'd love to have wished they'd have just got rid of these feet, just folded them up into the fuselage there, whatever you call it. That would have made the look of this jet a whole lot better than having those feet just sticking out. But there we go, what can you do? He does have some landing gear somewhere. Let's try and put it out. There we go. Let's see if that makes him look a bit better. Oh, it does, yeah, a little bit, not much. Why is he so off? I mean, he doesn't have no landing gear at the back, just got to use his knees. We're going to go for Swindle next. This is one of the ones that are now started to get massive remold. This is, was it a remold of Rook, wasn't it? A good Jeep mode. He did have another wheel there, obviously, on Rook, but this is a good Jeep mode. I like putting the gun there. A good remold, a solid remold, that one. Not too bad at all. Next one is the next one. It got a whole new mold, which is good, which is Brawl. I think it's going to be reused for, is it the Bruticus Rises for the Botcon one, which I'm really wanting to get. That is expensive though. It wasn't at first, but it just looks so good now. Yeah, want that now. So obviously this is going to be used for him, and it's going to be used for, I think it's nose cone out of the Computron when they ever get around to making that one. It's a good tank mode, I'll give it that. I do like it. Has one issue in robot mode I'm not too keen on. The only for me is this turret doesn't turn, which is a shame. Anyway, right, other than that, good solid tank mode, and I do like my tank modes. The next one is one I was really disappointed with. I wasn't too keen on it on Hotspot either, because this is a remold of Hotspot. This is Onslaught. He does have a major issue for me. These legs, these hips, it doesn't just want it, just doesn't sit right. I don't know if you're going to see it there. The alignment of these wheels and the alignment of these wheels are pointing upwards more than those, and it just doesn't want it. You can see there's a little notch in this section here, just around here, where these lights are. Why he's got lights? Purple lights. I mean, obviously that's it's been left over from when it was Hotspot. They could have easily just got rid of them, if you want my opinion. But there you go, they didn't. Strange, because I don't remember Onslaught having lights like that, emergency lights. Anyway, but there's a section on there where you can see where this should butt up against it, but it doesn't. Just because there's a little notch down there. You're not really going to see it too much, but it's just right tucked in the middle there. It does sort of fit into place like that, but then it's these little bits here, they just don't want to move one extra click. I can't get a click out of them, and that would probably help straighten them lines out, because when you put him down, he just doesn't sit flat on the floor. Like he rolls on the front two wheels and the two back wheels. These wheels don't even touch the bloody ground unless you're pushing really hard, which is just annoying. Other than that, he does have quite a good missile trailer mode. It looks a bit strange. I mean, it's not like his original G1. The original G1 looked really good. This one just looks weird. If you want me to, I mean, it looks alright, but you can tell it's sort of like almost been kit bashed to make it look like Onslaught from another Transformer, rather than being its own Transformer, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one for me. I mean, it's alright, but yeah, I mean, if I was like a kid buying Transformers and I saw this one, I wouldn't automatically think, oh wow, I've got to get that. Not like I did with Onslaught when I was a bit older. Anyway, right, we're going to move on now to their robot modes, and I shall be back almost instantaneously. Actually, I almost forgot to say, for this review I will be using the Perfect Effect upgrade kit's Miiltary version for their combined mode. It does have the usual thing where they all split apart to form like Gatling guns, although these ones have been remoulded for like, I don't know, laser cannons or something. And same with the hands. So I'll be putting those on Bruticus. I won't be putting them as extra guns because I just don't see the point. Anyway, right, so we'll be back in one moment for their robot modes. Right, so here they all are transformed into robot mode, and to be honest, I actually really like some of these robot modes. I actually prefer some of them, well, one of them, better than the Autobot counterpart, and that is who we're going to start with again. This is Vortex, of course, and I actually think this does sort of suit him better than it did Blades. Well, Blades weren't too bad, but I think the other one is Alpha Bravo, whatever his silly name is. I actually just think he looks a lot better, especially with that head sculpt. That does remind me of Vortex, whereas obviously Blast Off over there has a few other issues. One other issue I did notice was on these legs. My lighting is a little bit funny at the moment. Let me see if I can angle this light slightly over. Yeah, it's on these legs here, because obviously for some reason I can have them like that, but as soon as I try and move them out, it doesn't really want to go, and then it just sort of flicks sort of back when it's not really doing it too much now. But there's a lot of force that sort of just keeps it. It's a funny thing. I ain't just doing it too bad now. But earlier it was just literally flicking back. It was one of those funny ones. I don't know if it's a mold degradation or whatever. But yeah, but I actually just prefer the look of this mold as a Decepticon. So that's Vortex. We're going to move on to Blast Off. I don't mind his robot mode. Obviously, this is the same robot mode as Firefly and Slingshot, and it does use the same head as Slingshot. I don't know, maybe the Firefly head would have been a bit better. I mean, this one's okay, but because it's got the mouth sculpt, and you're going to see it there, obviously it doesn't look totally right, because it should have been a head more like Vortex is there. But still, it's a good looking robot mode. Obviously, again, I know the Takara version is going to have all this resculpted, maybe the wings resculpted, probably some of the back end resculpted to make it look like a shuttle. Yeah, can't remember if I said it earlier, but it really is annoying me a bit with the Hasbro and Takara at the moment, because they'll release the Hasbro ones like this, and then with the Takara versions they'll give you, well, it used to be just paint apps were different, didn't it? Like especially like with the old Henkei ones where they'd chrome some parts or whatever. Now they're actually going for whole mould changes, and it's just annoying me a little, because obviously, you know, collectors like me, you sort of want the perfect version. Like, I'd rather have a shuttle than this. I mean, I don't mind this, because at the end of the day, the classics obviously were supposed to be like an updated version of their G1 sort of forms, so, you know, you could understand him maybe not being a military shuttle, because I don't think they actually existed, as far as I know. So a military airplane, of course, is a much better option, but then again, you read his bio on the back, and it makes it sound like he is a shuttle, so bit of a funny one on that one. Then we're going to go to the next one, which is Swindle. I don't mind this robot mode. This is obviously heavily remoulded from Rook, the Protector Bot. Again, it's not bad. I actually like putting his little gun up on his arm, symbolising the old cartoon where he used to have that gun on his arm. So then he holds his Combiner Wars thing in his hand. You can do a lot different with it as well. Yeah, I think this is the same one. It is the same one that Brawl over there uses as well, which is quite funny. But I think it really is a good mould for him. No complaints really. I like that one. Who are we moving on to next? This is Brawl. Now, Brawl is a mixed bag for me. I love the look of him. I love his sort of stumpy look. He does look hard. I like the paint apps on him. I like a lot of it. It's just this midsection here. Let me just move this arm up out of the way. This midsection is annoying. It doesn't move. It actually holds pretty well as long as you're not playing with it too robustly. But it will just easily pop out, and then it just sort of flops about. And it does give him a rather flimsy-looking connection to his waist there, which is a bit annoying. Other than that, I do like it. You can take out this gun, and it does become his hand weapon. But I like the classic look where you've got the, well, the, whatever you call it, gun, tank gun, just above his head. But again, I do like it. I like it a lot, actually. Just that midsection, for me, slightly is a bit annoying. You can sort of like rotate it around, but then you get the trademark numbers or something at the front, and that doesn't stay in place at all. The next one. Now, I was really disappointed with this one. This is Onslaught. For me, I'll tell you, there's a few reasons why this guy, I just don't like him. Now, the main reason is his bloody knees. Let me move Blast off out of the way. You're going to have a nightmare with these knees. These knees are horrid. And again, I think this is just Hasbro being so cheap. They could have done a lot to rectify these knees. They could have just had a flap like this bit here. It just moves down, holds it in place, and you won't have half the trouble that you're going to have. As soon as you try to bend him at the knee, it should bend on this joint here where you can see the little rivet there. It doesn't. It just moves on this joint, which is inside the leg, probably connecting around here somewhere. You can do it so it moves, but there's nothing to connect it in, and you're just going to have a terrible time getting him into any kind of pose. These are all ratcheted joints up the top here, so then he ends up being like that, which ain't too bad, but you try and get him into a dynamic pose, and it just flops around, unfortunately, because the backpack don't help it because it's so heavy. Saying that, the only other thing I don't like about it is that he's just lanky. He just looks really lanky for me, and I mean, and he always ends up flopping backwards, a bit annoying. He just looks excessively lanky, and then these shoulder pads just look really, really big on him. Other than that, he's all right. Saying that, but it's just a bit of a disappointment for me. I just don't like the look that he just looks very, very lanky. I can probably live with the knees. I don't remember him being that bad on Hotspot, because obviously this is a retooled Hotspot, heavily retooled. And obviously you're going to lose these blasters at the back if you want to give him a handheld weapon. Yeah, he does that a lot, which is annoying. Right, okay, so we're going to go from here into their combined mode, which is Bruticus. I don't know, I might show it with the proper combiner ports, but then I might show it with the perfect effect versions. Probably I'll probably just go for them. All right, okay, right, so here he is. This is the I can't even say it, the combined form of Bruticus, and if I'm honest, this is the mode you should be buying this for. I think it looks good. I decided to put the Combiner Wars, the proper ones, on this just to show it, and then the difference between this and the Perfect Effect. They don't look as bad. It's just mainly on the feet. The feet ones look too small for feet, and then the hands just look too big for hands. I mean, some of them work, but mainly on, especially the aircraft, these hands just look too big. I think maybe if you was to swap them around, have these two guys up here, the Combiner Wars hands would look okay-ish. But those feet, it just looks way too small, unfortunately. Saying that, it is a very good looking combiner. I like the way all this front section here just unfolds, and this bit doesn't tab in, but it allows it, because it's movable, you can get him into some good poses, though it is going to be difficult with these tiny feet because they're not on ball joints or anything like that. You can get some good poses here. The arms up here are a bit strange on Onslaught because the instructions and all the pictures, if I can show it to you, sorry, it's going to be up a funny way here, just tilt your head, where you can see his head just here, he has two oblong bits, and these are these shoulders. I'm going to lift this up actually, it's probably easier. You can see these shoulders just here. Now this gives him his more classic G1 look. Where you've just got his head and you can see the guns, but these bits actually supposed to be rotated round, so you're going to get this whole back section here, which is his hands up on his shoulders, and then this actually tabs properly into this chest plate just here on this tab here. But then, like I say, it gives you his hands right up on his shoulders, and it looks really blocky and not like his G1 self. So I think they gave you like an alternate transformation mode, not as good, and it doesn't tab in. It holds well enough for it to be a good transformation, and one that I do ultimately prefer. Right, I'm just going to swap these around and put the Perfect Effect hands and feet on him, and we'll be right back in 1 second. Right, so here we have the Perfect Effect hands and feet on him, and I actually think the hands are actually pretty damn good. Let me just get a close-up look at these hands. These hands are a lot better than the original hands. The original hands for the other Perfect Effect Combiner Wars figures, they really looked very strange, like more skeletal, but these ones do look more robotic at least, and then we can see them on Vortex as well, and I actually quite like them. The feet are again pretty damn good, and they offer a lot more posability than the regular Combiner Wars ports. The only problem you're going to have is actually, unfortunately, up on these hips. Just trying to find the correct sort of pose to give him a decent pose can be a little problematic because the range of the ratchets up here on the hip section there. But once you do, you can actually get him into a fairly decent pose. You can just sort of play about with him a little bit. He will go into a good range of poses. You can bend this one forward if you can. You can bend him at the knees and just try and get him into some poses. He's not the easiest. They actually have put a little bit of what's the word? Almost like felt, if you will, on the front tips of these feet to give him a little bit more. So when he's on like a smooth surface like this bit of wood here, he will have a little bit more purchase. But if you use my tablecloth that we've got on this table at the moment, he would easily stand. It's a shame they didn't put it all round, like at the front and at the back, because you can see him moving now and just about to fall over, unfortunately. But again, like I say, it is just getting him into one of those right sort of moves where you can get his legs at a decent angle. But to be honest, I think he looks brilliant. Definitely one of my favourites at the moment. Definitely better than... Oh my God, what's happened to my tripod? Definitely better than who was I going to say? Yeah, Defensor. I love Bruticus's head here. I think it's the wrong colour. I think it should be grey, not black. Yeah, definitely one of my favourites. I think Superion is still the best, if you want my opinion. Don't have Menasor. I'm probably trying to pick him up later on, maybe when I see him cheap. But still, a very good set, worth picking up, especially for the Combiner Wars thing. They're a bit pricey at £25 roughly, but do give you a little bit extra on the feet here. Right, this has been Graham, the Collect 75. I'll wrap this review up right now, and I'll see you on again next time. Bye for now.